Hello and welcome to the Auto Trader pregame show. Players only as we take a look at Russell Westbrook making his entrance as he gets ready to host one of the very best, Dame Lillard and the Trailblazers starting to play some good basketball. We should have a good one here. Greg Anthony sitting in for my man C. Webb, who was working hard last night, along with the Hall of Famers, Isaiah Thomas and Kevin McHale. So we're going to have a lot of fun. But let's get it out on location first to Dennis Scott and get caught up to what's going on in Oklahoma City as we get ready for this battle. DZ?
Well, guys, first of all, it's a little chilly here in OKC. I don't know what the weather is back in Atlanta.
It's cold here, too.
It's cold there, too?
Cold, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. So, that being said, hopefully the cold weather stays outside the arena because OKC Thunder is playing better defense. That slipped a little bit. Paul George playing at an MVP level. And you talked about Dame Lillard and C.J. McCollum. Now we have to talk about Nurkic. He's playing better basketball. You're just talking to some of the guys as they're warming up. Nurkic is tired of people saying who's the third guy for Portland. So it should be a good ball game tonight.
It really should. And, you know, you look at this Thunder team, all the talk coming in was how great they'd been defensively, but that's not been the case here of late for this group, DZ. What's the thought process with how they're playing on that side of the ball?
Well, they understand that teams have come into their building and shot the ball with confidence. And the first team that comes to mind the other night when the Los Angeles Lakers came here and played lights-out basketball with Kyle Kuzma shooting the three and getting anywhere on the floor like he wanted to. So they realize teams are going to come in and give them their best shot. They need to regroup. Guys off the bench understand when they come in, they got to lock down and play good team defense. But no panic. I say it again, no panic because a guy named Paul George is playing really, really good.
You know, 3D, they going up against a great backcourt tonight when you talk about Lillard and McCollum. What strategy do you think they will implement tonight defensively to try to slow those two guys down?
Well, try to keep them off the three-point line, and when they split the double team, Isaiah, you know this, you're one of the best to ever do it. When they split that double team, make sure those big guys step up in the lane like Kevin McHale used to do, and not so much block the shot, but deter the shot and try to get some of those shooting percentages to come down because we know you're not going to stop them all night long. We want them to work for every shot they get tonight.
You know, Dennis, what I want you to do is go tell Adams that Nurkic wants to have a big game tonight because I want to see what Adams does to him. I look at OKC, and I think Adams just really, when he's playing well, he's defensive rebounding, he's offensive rebounding, but he's really clogging the paint and just helping recover. Talk to me a little bit about Adams and Adams' ability to really help that OKC defense.
Well, I think Paul George has done an excellent job, guys, believe it or not, throwing the ball down low to your point, K-Mac, to Steven Adams. Just let him touch it. He doesn't always try to shoot the basketball because he's a great passer out of the mid-post. So sometimes let the big guy eat a little bit. He sets better screens. He defends more for you. And now you can get out and run and get easy baskets.
So 3D, is it raining out there? Is it snowing? Because we just saw a shot of Adams walking in.
Yeah. He looked like the abominable.
It was raining.
Yes, was that guy?
It was raining earlier. It stopped raining, but man, I cannot lie. I didn't bring my big coat. I brought my southern coat. I'm chilly.
Man, you can get up under his coat.
Hold on. That's the kind of guy when you're walking down the street, you see him coming, you go to the other side of the street.
You go take off running. You go.
Who is that guy?
All right, DG, we're going to check back in with you a little bit later. Let's talk a little bit more, guys, about this Thunder team because you know, when the season started, they probably had as many question marks as anybody after how the season ended a season ago. But defensively, they were a juggernaut for quite a while. But then now it seems like they've hit a stretch where defense has not been their calling card. Do you see them returning to that? And also, do you guys see them as a legit contender in that Western Conference?
You know, I was one of the guys early in preseason. I wasn't sure if OKC in thinking that the West would be as tough as it is. With Russell missing games, with Westbrook missing games early in the season, I didn't know if they would fall so far behind that they wouldn't be able to make up the games. However, you know, you got to give Billy Donovan a lot of credit because he and Paul George and that group, they did a great job of holding down the fort. And when Russ came back, they just took off. So, you know, I like where they are defensively. And I think there's so much room to grow and improve for the OKC Thunder.
Yeah, I tell you what, when they're playing good defense, they're switching to deny the passes. When they're not playing good defense, they're laying back off it. And, we get a switch down here. You know how hard it is when guys can fly on switches. You're uptight, you're denying, you're getting a hand in. They get deflections, they get steals when they're doing that. What I've seen lately a little bit is they've been a little bit more passive on the defensive end, allowing those passes to flow freely on the perimeter. I just think when they're up pressuring, they're a much better team. So we'll see tonight if they get back to pressure, how many deflections, how many steals. And the reason that I'm believing in this team, you asked, where can they go in the playoffs? When you can score off your defense, that gives you such a big bounce, especially in the playoffs when scoring becomes at a premium. When you can get 4 or 5 of those deflections for runouts and get yourself 12, 14, 15 points off those deflections and steals, that's huge. And so I'm believing in this team. Favorite thing about the OKC lately is that Russell Westbrook is not pressing his offense. He's not having those 6 for 30 games. He was 6 for 12 last night.
Yeah.
Damn near had a triple-double, had 10 rebounds, 9 assists. And when you can control the game by taking 12 shots, you are a basketball player. You're not a numbers correct.
Yeah. And that used to always be the judge of if your point guard is really controlling the game by, how many shot attempts he has to take or doesn't take. And the average was about, if you took 12 to 15 shots a night and you can control the game that way and you have your imprint on the assist box, you're sharing the basketball, that's when you knew you were doing, a great job. And then guys like Magic would come along and they control the game with 4 shots. Yeah. and you would be like, hey, we're not even talking about you tonight, exactly. Magic. You're in a totally different category. But that's what Westbrook is doing. And not only that, he's also accepted the challenge of becoming a better defender. This is the first time I've ever heard him really talk about becoming an elite defender as opposed to being an elite offensive player. And when you have he and Paul George as 2 elite defenders on your team, you got a chance to beat anybody.
And, wrapping up on Westbrook, he's not getting those 3 or 4 extra layups he got a game because, your shooting percentage looks a hell of a lot better when you're beating everybody and you're getting 4 or 5, 6 layups at the rim. He's not getting those right now. I don't know if he's just doesn't quite have the explosiveness he had or whatever. He's such a freakish athlete, but he's just not getting those shots. And so those always make your shooting percentage look a hell of a lot better.
And do you guys think, though, big picture, this is a team that doesn't shoot the 3 well, although they were terrific in their last game, shot 52% from beyond, made 15. But along with Westbrook and this group, do they shoot it well enough, though, to where they can really put some fear in some of those elite teams in that Western Conference once we get to the postseason?
If the right people are shooting it. If Abrinas can come back and get healthy, he's a good shooter for him. Paul George makes his share of threes, shoots a decent percentage from the 3-point line. I'd like to see them add another shooter. But again, to me, the 3, it's all relative to who's shooting it. If you have 20% shooters shooting a lot of threes, you're going to be a lousy 3-point shooting team. It doesn't take a whole lot of math to figure that out. And sometimes they have the wrong people shooting the threes. If they have the right people shooting the threes, put them in the right position, you got some drive, you got some kick going out, I'd like to see them add another shooter. I really would. I think it just fills out their roster. But again, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. San Antonio has the right people shooting threes. And they don't shoot a bunch of them, but they make a bunch of them. They make a high percentage of what they shoot. I think OKC's got to have a little bit of some of that. That being said, I'd like to see them trade for a shooter if they could.
I agree with Kevin. I do think that at some point in time during this period, they have to seek out a 3-point shooter to add to the roster. But that shooter's got to be able to defend also.
Yes.
He just can't be a guy that's a specialist that knocks down shots. He's got to be able to defend on both ends so they can play him and keep him in the game. And I also think that shot selection is extremely important. And what I'm seeing with OKC right now is their shot selection has become much better. And if they continue to have good shot selection, then they'll be okay.
Okay, and speaking of selection, I'm going to select this moment to give a shout out to my kids. My daughter Naomi and my son Tyson are watching. They're big fans. And also interact with all of us here socially at NBA TV.
Not
myself, Nick Anthony 50, at Isaiah Thomas, and at Kevin McHale. Just try it. You never know. Somebody probably has that account right now.
The problem is it's that actor, and they keep on mistaking me for some 4'11" actor. And I'm like, that is not me. I promise you. I'm 6'11".
All right. You get mistaken for the actor. I get mistaken for the younger Isaiah
That's right.
in the league.
I always say the real Isaiah Thomas when I talk about you.
That's
I just call myself
the real Dame Lillard right there. And
yeah,
he
it's
might
only
have
one.
a little something to say about how this game goes tonight. Dame Lillard and the Blazers,
Wearing slippers.
they are lurking.
Only one. Those are
Only. 10 before tip number 2, which was buzzing today around the NBA. Finding new ways to trim a beard. Corey Brewer made it pretty interesting last night, but James Harden still got to 37 points. The Rockets lost. However, Harden extended his streak of consecutive games, scoring at least 30 to 20 straight. Only Wilt Chamberlain has done that in the NBA's history. Now, over the last 4 games, the Beard has scored a total of 200 points, and every single one of those 200 points have come unassisted. No assists for Harden. Just one of those nights. That's how Klay Thompson described his 44-point outburst last night, where he tied an NBA record, making his first 10 three-point attempts en route to the Warriors' blowout win over the Lakers. Now, Klay scored 23 of those 44 in the third quarter, and in the game, he didn't attempt a single free throw. Shacked in a fool, even Steph Curry is capable of a starring role.
And look out, Curry slipped. And now shoots for 3.
Yeah, you see like a kid walk into a candy store and the whole half court empty. I was gonna try something real nice that I haven't tried before. Lord wouldn't let me do it.
From our West Coast NBA.com bureau, Sean Powell joining us tonight. More memorable, Sean, Steph Curry starring role in Shacked in a Fool, or Klay's 44 hitting his first 10 threes?
Well, Klay's record may not last until next month because he could beat it. Steph could beat it. But seeing Steph Curry stumble on the floor, this is a guy throughout his entire career hasn't slipped on or off the court. So it looked pretty weird. I mean, we're used to laughing at Steph doing something on his defender rather than seeing Steph do something on his own. And by the way, if I'm Steph, I'm kind of blaming Klay Thompson for that. Klay was splashing all night with those 3-pointers. It was bound to leave a wet spot.
I see what you did there, Sean. That's nice. Yeah, that's nice. Better than some who are trying to blame the Staples Center rink that was out earlier in the day. Come on, Steph said that had nothing to do with it. It was just simply him being a human being, folks. Basketball players are human beings. Watch yourself. Thankfully, he didn't get hurt. All right, Sean. Warriors, now, listen, when you win 8 straight, it always looks fun. Having DeMarcus Cousins in there, maybe an added element. Are we now seeing the Warriors hit their stride and playing with that joy we haven't seen in quite a while?
Well, we're seeing the Warriors go after this right here. And by the way, Jared, this
is that the real trophy?
It's not up to scale.
Okay,
I don't want you to be fooled.
Okay.
But look, I mean, everything is happening at the right time. You're welcoming back DeMarcus Cousins. You're on this win streak. Everybody's feeling great. Klay Thompson setting records. Obviously, look, there's a lot of basketball left to be played. But if you're the Warriors, you have to feel good about yourself right now. Better than you felt all season. Of course, we know what they went through with Kevin Durant and Draymond Green, and then Steph Curry missed 11 games. But right now, it's all working. Of course, now they're about to go on the road. They have to play in Indiana. They have to play in Boston. And by the way, a week from Saturday, they will have to play at home against the Lakers, and we're assuming LeBron James will be back for that game. And we know what happened to them on Christmas Day at that very spot. If they run the table there, you got to like it.
I'm just mystified by the fact that you got props. I didn't realize our budget extended to buying you toys to play with while you're on the program, Sean.
Well, I haven't turned in the expense yet, so the boss is going to be with it.
Don't count on it from prior experience. 10 before tip number 3, a stat stuffer. Hey, the Lakers losing last night to the Warriors. LA now 5-9 without LeBron James in the lineup, and no word on when LeBron's going to return. Luke Walton says probably not going to be Thursday against Minnesota on TNT because Luke hasn't seen LeBron in any contact play just yet. But take a look at this schedule. After these 3 home games, technically they're still at home against the Clippers, but the schedule heading into All-Star break: Warriors, Pacers, Celtics, Sixers, and then you finish up this brutal stretch against an Atlanta team that's scrappy and plays tough. Listen, how much longer can this Laker team afford right now in the 9th spot in the West to be without LeBron James before you seriously have to say Lakers are in danger of making the playoffs or missing the playoffs?
Well, I don't think we'll get to that point. Of course, muscle pulls are tricky. Hamstrings more, and particularly when you're talking about players in their 30s. LeBron James has been indestructible up to this point, but he's human after all. I think he'll be back for those games. I'm probably the happiest people are those who are holding tickets for those road games because, there's been some nervous times with LeBron in this injury. They feel that they're going to see LeBron on the court. But yeah, you're right. I mean, when you look at where the Lakers are in the Western Conference standings, and there's some very good teams that they're behind. Someone's not going to make it. My money is on LeBron and the Lakers. I think that when he comes back, everything will be well again. We've seen this with LeBron with new teams before in the past. Of course, he's never been hurt, but I think he'll come back with a message to send, and I think the Lakers will be fine. But when that happens, who knows?
All right, another story that's been buzzing around is the status of one Carmelo Anthony after being dealt, although it's kind of been in a holding pattern, the trade to Chicago from Houston. Carmelo Anthony ultimately will be waived, we think, by the Bulls unless he is traded, but he certainly won't play for Chicago at any point. Is it just inevitable that at some point this season, Carmelo Anthony is going to be a member of the Lakers?
Yeah, I kind of think so. I think the Lakers could probably open up the spot and bring in. Of course, he has a great relationship with LeBron James, but I can't see him playing a significant role with this team. Probably like Tyson Chandler, he's going to get a few minutes here and there. But by and large, he's going to be on the bench. And if you're Carmelo Anthony, you have to ask yourself this question. Is this how you want to end your career? The guy's going to go to the Hall of Fame. He's a great guy. But if you're sitting on the end of the bench and you're one of the aging players, I mean, this is like being the old man in the club. I mean, does he really want that? Is that the way he wants to go out? I just can't see him at this point playing significant minutes.
All right, well, we lost Sean Powell there for a moment. We'll get him back. We'll come back after a short timeout, get you up to speed on what's going on north of the border with Kawhi Leonard. Why is he out tonight and tomorrow night, missing a 3rd and 4th straight game? He's healthy. Josh Lewenberg joins us live from Toronto to explain load management.